a very warm welcome to all of you, to our audience with the Graduate School this afternoon. And this is really the opportunity for you to find out what it means to be a postgraduate student at Queen's, what our courses are like, what our research is about, and really what sets us apart, I think, from so many other different opportunities in the postgraduate arena. My name is Margaret Topping. I'm Associate Pro Vice Chancellor and Dean of the Graduate School. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself shortly, but can I first of all introduce everyone else that we have on the webinar with us this afternoon. So we have, first of all, Orla Tamulty, if Orla could give us a little wave.
Hello.
And Orla is a Graduate Recruitment Officer in Queen's University. We then have 3 current postgraduate students with us. First of all, we have Rianne Morgan. Say hi, Rianne. Thanks, Rianne. We have Aoife Cuddihy, is a master's student.
Hi.
Thanks, Aoife. And we have Sean Dempsey, also a PhD student. So they will be on the chat, they will be on the webinar with us today. There'll be an opportunity to ask them questions a little bit later on. If I can just explain a little bit of the format for this afternoon. Myself and the students and Donna and Orla are all live here with you today, but we also have some pre-recorded video content for you, just to be sure that nothing goes wrong on the video. So we have quite a lot of video content to show you as well. We'll move through the main presentations, and then at that point at the end we will open up the chat box so that if you have any questions that haven't been answered at that point, you can simply type those in, and Orla will be comparing that part of the webinar, and she'll simply make sure she keeps an eye on those questions, and will direct those to myself or to the students or to anyone else who is in a position immediately to answer those. If there's anything that comes up in the questions that we can't answer today, don't worry, we'll take your details and we will get back to you to make sure that you have all the information that you possibly could need. So I'm going to move in first of all to start to tell you a little bit about what the Queen's postgraduate experience is like, and maybe just to start by engaging with you on where you are at the moment in terms of your journey. A number of you are going to be at very different stages. Some of you will have already made an application to Queen's or to other universities, whether for master's study or for a PhD. Others may be thinking about it. Others still may be not sure at all whether this is for them. You may be working in a career, and maybe one of the things that has happened during this current lockdown is to have you giving you time to think about what you want to do. Do you want to change direction? So I think in all of those cases, very much signing up to this webinar shows that you see yourself as being at a crossroad, and you may not be sure exactly what's happening next and wondering whether postgraduate study is one option for you. I think I just wanted to start by saying, you know, postgraduate study has a lot of myths associated with it. We often think of this image, the sort of image that you see here, of the kind of ivory tower academic, the sort of dusty shelves, sitting in an office, isolated from everyone else. I think my starting point would be to let you know that that's not what postgraduate study looks like today. It is much more focused on real world challenges, on engaging with partners outside the university, on having colleagues from industry, from government, from NGOs coming in and being part of the delivery of our modules, creating opportunities for placements for our students. So we're in no sense in the world of the kind of ivory tower. I think that's one myth about postgraduate study that I'd really like to challenge, first of all. I think the other one, and this picture here absolutely sums up how I felt. It's a long time ago now, but 20 plus years ago, when I had a tutor who said to me, have you thought about postgraduate study? And my feeling was, no, that's not for me. That's for people who are so far ahead of where I am intellectually. And yet all it took was someone to say to me, no, you need to think about this. It's a journey. Postgraduate study puts you at the start of the journey, and you'll have all the support and intellectually, personally, professionally to take you forwards. And I find myself now 20 years on in a very, very exciting position where my own background in terms of my discipline is humanities. I'm a French scholar, but my main role allows me to work across the entire institution in Queen's, across all of our faculties, to make sure that all of our postgraduate students have the best possible experience. So if you see yourself in this image at all, if you're thinking, who me, I couldn't do this, my response is yes, absolutely you could, because Academia is now, and postgraduate study is about passion, real world challenges, and making a difference. It's not, as I've said, the image that we have sometimes had of it as the ivory tower. And just then to give you a little bit more of a sense of what I mean about what it is to be a postgraduate at Queen's, we have a short video about our graduate school that I think will give you a little bit of an insight into what makes Queen's different. So I hope that that gives you a little bit of a sense of what postgraduate experience is about at Queen's. You've seen our beautiful building in the video, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what goes on in there. But the postgraduate experience at Queen's is so much more. It's not just a building. It's a concept, it's an ethos, it's an ambition, and it's a partnership between our graduate school, which is the space where all of our students from all disciplinary backgrounds come together to be supported in their training and development, their skills, their professional journeys. But it's also partnership with our faculties, with our research institutes and our schools and colleagues across the university. And that's the place where master's programs, PhD researchers are based, where they are absolutely exposed to cutting edge research, to world leaders in their fields. And then they come into us in the graduate school, and that's the place where we create a different sort of a wraparound, which is, I suppose, a whole person approach to postgraduate education and research. So let me tell you a little bit about what that looks like before we hear more from our colleagues in different faculties and indeed from our students. Queen's has a very clear vision to be an organisation, an institution, which is absolutely grounded in social impact, in being grounded in excellence in terms of its teaching, its staff, its students, but also making sure that everything that we do is also focused on the needs of society. And that has been absolutely core to how we have gone about redesigning, rethinking our postgraduate experience and provision in the last 5 years. And I think aligned with that vision, I like this as a way of summing up some of what we try to make the Queen's postgraduate experience all about. It's not about the ivory tower. It's about actually taking that excellence, pushing the boundaries of knowledge, coming up with new ways of thinking, but crucially using that in ways that have an impact on our local environment, national environment, but also our global environment. And you're going to hear a lot about the global connections that we have here, as well as our very much our identity as a civic university. I mentioned at the start that I'm a French studies scholar, so much of my wisdom and thinking about everything else I do comes from that context. And so in some ways, the ethos that embodies a lot of what we think about in Queen's, in the postgraduate space, comes from the 17th century thinker La Rochefoucauld, who talks about how thinkers think and doers do, but unless the thinkers do and the doers think, progress will only ever be a word. What we're about at Queen's at postgraduate level is producing the very best thinkers, but also equipping them to be the very impactful doers. And this is more and more and more necessary. And many of you may have seen this idea before of the VUCA world, that we live in a VUCA world, that being a world that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. That's becoming our new normal. And because of that, because there is so much uncertainty, what we need absolutely are subject experts, we need specialists, but we also need people who have skills that make them adaptable, flexible, agile, creative thinkers who are ready for whatever challenges the world throws at us. Very often when I'm talking about our conception of postgraduate study, we think about the technology futures and the way that that is creating an uncertain world for us. If we're in a position in 20, 30 years' time where a very large proportion of jobs have been automated, how do we begin to prepare our postgraduates for that workforce, for that workplace? It's a workplace that is not even yet defined. We don't know what the jobs will be. So our philosophy at Queen's has always been, how do we give people the skills that will make them future-proof? So that's one part of our VUCA world. But of course, at the moment, how much more so is that the case in the context of coronavirus? We have so much uncertainty, and really what that is requiring us to do, and where Queen's, like many other universities across the world, is stepping forward, is in seeking out multidisciplinary approaches that will really help us to address this challenge. And that's researchers working in the clinical side and diagnostic, in the development of a vaccine, but it's also our colleagues in arts, humanities and social sciences who are thinking about the legal implications, the work implications, the whole range of multidisciplinary approaches that are needed if we are to be both thinkers and doers. And that ethos that we're seeing here is absolutely core to what Queen's is promoting in our postgraduate culture. So in a sense, this is maybe a very idealistic view, but what I see amongst our postgraduate students is that they come in because they're interested in a subject, they're passionate about an idea, or they want to develop their careers. But as they spend their time with us, they become increasingly people who see themselves as changers, as influencers. And so our ethos is to produce experts, yes, subject specialists, but experts on their own are not going to bring about significant change if they're not capable of understanding themselves, understanding others. We have excellent researchers, but we want to encourage and nurture people who are actually driven by the need to do something with that. Universities have traditionally been filled with very great thinkers, but not all of those have been people who know how to work in teams, how to lead, how to collaborate, how to make things happen. In Queen's, through our partnership between our faculties and the graduate school, we try to give you both of those. And a key part of what we do through the graduate school is to create the context in which game changers in one field are very happy to seek out, talk to, be challenged by, and collaborate with game changers in other fields. So as I mentioned before, what that means practically is that the graduate school is a hub for interdisciplinary activity, intergenerational activity, intercultural activity. It's the place where different people come together and challenge one another, communicate with one another. I think it's in that sort of space of diversity that new conversations really start to happen. So what makes us different? Against that backdrop, and that backdrop has really defined not just how the graduate school has developed in the last 5 years, but also our postgraduate portfolio of programs, is that what we say as an institution is that by the end of their degree, our postgraduates will have been trained not just as subject specialists, but they will have been developed as thinkers, as innovators, as leaders, as communicators. And it's all that, we think, which will make them future ready, that will make them best adapted to respond to the changing dynamics of this VUCA world that we mentioned. And partly being a thinker is not just being a specialist and knowing your stuff, it's also about being willing to be critical, to be flexible, to be disruptive, to challenge the process. Innovators are not just about people who are designing new products, although many of course they can be, but innovators are also people who are capable of creative thinking. We want all of our postgraduates to be introduced to ways to develop those sorts of skills. When we talk of leaders, we don't necessarily mean the CEO of a huge organisation or the Chancellor of a university. In your postgraduate study, you're leading your work there. You might be working through a charity. You might be involved in an organisation, extracurricular activity. Leadership is core in all of that. And of course, also now, in terms of having the impact that we want our work to have, we need to be able to talk to people who are outside the academic world. We need to be able to speak to the media. We need to be able to explain our research on Twitter as easily as we can do it in an academic article. So all of that is what the Queen's proposition is about. It's about that excellence, but combined with a whole person approach, which will really make you ready for whatever comes next. And it's that gap, bridge between that, between skills and research excellence, which really defines our focus in Queen's. And I think it's really that gives you the edge in the very competitive job market if you have that excellence in the subject, but also excellent skills. So what this actually looked like, so you've seen in the video that we showed you, you have seen a little bit of the graduate school. This is our beautiful building, and I hope that I have the opportunity to welcome many of you to it in person in the not too distant future. But it's an intellectual hub, it's a social hub, it's a place of connectivity where we bring together, as I said, our postgraduates from across all different disciplines, but also bring them into contact with external partners, with employers, with charities, with policymakers, the whole range of people. So we're offering here research, professional and academic skills for all of our postgraduates, both postgraduate taught, which are our master's students, and PGRs, which are our doctoral students. And a big emphasis in our support also is for the particular needs and support needs of our international students. I mentioned innovation before, and I think the notion of creativity in the broad sense of just being able to think differently, to know how to challenge existing ways of thinking, is core to what we do. We're also here to support our students as they develop their pathways towards a whole range of career opportunities. I guess another myth around postgraduate study, particularly if you're doing a doctorate, is that you will inevitably become a university lecturer. The range of careers that are opening up to people who have master's and doctoral degrees is so much broader than in the educational sphere. And more employers are calling out that it's the broader skills that are secured through the postgraduate degree that really matters, often more so than the subject excellence. And above all, as I was saying, the graduate school is a community for collaboration across disciplinary, cultural, generational and linguistic boundaries. And just to mention on the sort of generational side, we have, and there may be people out there listening to this who are at different stages in their own life, who may have worked for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and are thinking of coming back into learning, either out of interest and passion or to try to facilitate a career change. And just to say, that's absolutely great. That's what we welcome in Queen's, because it's another different perspective. And for anyone who might be thinking of coming back into study and is maybe a little bit hesitant, just be assured that in the graduate school, we provide very specific one-to-one support to help anyone coming back into learning to get back up to speed with all of the academic skills that are required there. So the diversity is a benefit. It's nothing that we see as a negative. I mentioned before that the graduate school is all about the partnership. We have the excellence in our faculties, in our schools, in the subject areas, but then that comes together with opportunities for transdisciplinary debate and dialogue in the graduate school. So every programme that we offer has in the room at any one time linguists like myself sitting beside physicists, sitting beside historians, sitting beside cancer specialists, and that's the reality of the workplace environment. People work in multidisciplinary teams, so we're training people to be able to do that. And I guess to understand that as an asset rather than as a barrier to get over from the very start. And it's that really has people ready to stand out. So let me tell you a little bit about what some of those programs look like. What actually are we talking about when we talk about these training and development programs? I think the cornerstone for all of this, as you would expect from any graduate school, is that we are there to support your academic development. Whether that's helping you starting to get writing in your master's year, in the first, second or third year of your PhD, whether it's helping you to present your work to an academic audience or to a non-academic audience. It's giving you skills in project management that help you to manage your PhD, or maybe if you're doing a master's program while continuing to work, how do you juggle all of that? How do you project manage your various responsibilities there? It's also about the academic skills of writing essays, critical reading and writing, academic English, presentation skills, all of that, as well as looking forward to the future in terms of career development. We've also mentioned their well-being and community, and I should say that it's not all about the work, it's also about the connection. We have a huge number of social events as well, and have a great time actually, again, just bringing in or working with our international students to, for example, allow them to give a taste of different cultures. So it's not all about the hard work. So some core programs, you'll have seen in everything I've said that leadership is a big part of what we do. So we have core programs for all of our postgraduate taught students. And actually we've developed something very similar now for all of our research students, programs and master your leadership. We have a very strong interest also in the fact that in terms of what our economy needs, it's not just about graduating job seekers, it's also about graduating job creators. So we work with all of our students also who may have a business idea, whether for a very commercial business or whether more social innovation, and we work with them to develop that idea, to understand marketing, investment, pitching, how to develop your business model, and so on. So we have actually got a lot of students coming out with a lot of entrepreneurial activity behind them as well. And some really successful businesses and kind of social enterprises have emerged too. I said at the very beginning that so much what Queen's is about is the ability and the need to be part of our local community and to impact on that. So through the graduate school, we have set up a number of social innovation challenges where we've partnered with local communities, and we've also started to do this globally, where a community partner sets us a challenge and our students work together with the community in multidisciplinary teams to come up with solutions and ideas that can be taken forward. So we were recently working in Hydebank College, which many of you will know is where young offenders in Northern Ireland are housed. It's also where female prisoners, offenders in Northern Ireland are housed. And we worked with them on a project around educational attainment. But what came out of that was a fascinating conversation between one of our postgraduate students and one of the Hydebank students, which was about both their common interest in refurbishing old bikes. And out of that, we have developed a social enterprise called Big Loop Bikes, where we refurbish bikes, and they're sold, and the profits are going back into kind of rehabilitation and community projects. Have a look on Facebook if you're interested, but that's the sort of thing we do to have a genuine impact. Future Ready, again, is recognising that for our PhD students, going into an academic job is not the only option. So we prepare them with a whole range of skills, and I'll show you a slide that has a little bit more on that. We're keen for you to get accreditation that shows the extra work that you have done. So we have various internal accreditation processes, but we also have partnered with the Chartered Management Institute to give an external accreditation for our students. And our students can also then take the CMI's Level 7 certificate in strategic management and leadership, which allows them to take modules in leadership, in project management, and also entrepreneurial practice. So this allows you to have your master's at the end of your academic program, your PhD, but at the same time to have an internationally recognized professional qualification. So you can see how this comes together as a very appealing proposition for employers. I'm not going to say too much about our individual programs, but just to reinforce that in all cases, we are not looking to train people in skills in an isolated way. So even a program like our Master Your Leadership program involves companies, NGOs, policymakers coming in at the start of our week, saying to students, here's a challenge that we are actually facing. Can you come up with solutions? And as students develop their skills throughout the week, they're also working in their multidisciplinary teams to come up with solutions which they then pitch back to our external partners. And some of those solutions have been really very exciting for the partners, partly I think because they bring that multidisciplinary perspective, and those are solutions that are being implemented in various businesses and other organisations across Northern Ireland. I've mentioned our innovation and enterprise programmes already. Anyone who has an idea, we can work with you to help develop that. And I think more and more young people and older people need to be thinking about entrepreneurship as a new life direction, or even as the first thing they want to do when they come out of university. Our basis there, our methodology is absolutely based on design thinking, which some of you will be familiar with. It's a model that has come out of Stanford University's D School, their design school. And we work very closely with Stanford and with a number of other partners in delivering the sorts of programs that allow that design thinking methodology to come into play. I said both locally, but also globally. We had a group of students going to South Africa recently to work in a township in Cape Town, working with young people there and developing new ideas for a building that they had acquired. And in that building now we have enterprise activity, we have skills development, but all led by the community. Future Ready I've mentioned, which is helping to think about different career pathways, but all of that also is supported by one-to-one career support for you, whether you're a postgraduate master's student or a research student. We have a whole one-to-one set of opportunities for you with our career specialists alongside the more formal programs you can study on. And there, just mentioned the CMI, great opportunity. We're very, very happy to talk about that more in questions if that's something that would be of interest. And I mentioned before, it's not all about formal programs. We have a lot which is about just bringing in our local leaders, disruptors, people who are interested, exciting, have stories to tell. The picture you have here, we haven't had Richard Branson, but we have had the chap beside him, who is a man called Dave Linton, who set up something called Mad Lug Bags, and you can see the bags there. His story is very exciting. He was a social worker who had lengthy experience of having to remove kids from their homes and put them with foster parents. He was appalled at the fact that kids were having to carry all their belongings in black bin bags. And so he set up Mad Lug as a way to help support that. So for every bag that is bought from Mad Lug, one is donated to the social services sector. And those are the sort of people who are really having an impact on society, and the sort of people who really model the way for our PhD students and our master's students. We also have poster competitions, 3-minute thesis, lots of ways to allow you to develop your skills in communicating your research. And a big part of what we do also is that connectivity. We have our internal community, but it's also connecting outwards with our community outside. So we'd have a lot around peer mentoring. We have teamed up recently with the Commissioner for Public Appointments in Northern Ireland to give our students the opportunity to sit in and be mentored by people on a whole range of public boards in Northern Ireland. So it is all about the opportunities, and crucially also the opportunity to apply your skills in a practical way. So that's me coming to the end of my section, which is really giving you, I hope, a taste of what it means to be a postgraduate student at Queen's, what our students are driven by, what connects them. And it is excellence, but it is absolutely also about wanting to make a difference. So I hope that's inspired you to think a little bit about what you could do with your degree or your further degrees that goes beyond the academic knowledge that you will acquire. And my final word before we start here a little bit more about specific programs in our faculties and more from our students is just a tip that says, if we come back to the point I made at the start about the who me, well, yes, you. If you're passionate, if you're curious, go for it. And my key tip is don't be afraid to challenge the process, because that's where innovation and new thinking starts to begin. So we're going to move into the next part of our webinar now. And that is where we're going to be introducing you to in more detail to some of the specific courses and some of the specific research areas in our different faculties. As you can see on the slide here, we have 3 faculties: the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences, and the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences. And what we have coming up now is a short video from each of our Deans of Graduate Studies in those faculties. We're just going to give you a high-level insight into what's available there. And if any questions emerge as you are watching these videos, do make a note of those and we'll cover those off in the chat, or we can make sure that one of our faculty representatives follows up with you specifically on any other questions. So I think we are going to, can we move first of all to Wei Sha's video, and we'll come back to funding and scholarships.
Hello, this is Professor Wei Sha. I'm a professor of material science at Queen's University of Belfast, but also I'm the Dean of Postgraduates in the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences, one of the 3 faculties in the university. Today I give you a short talk about the postgraduate taught and postgraduate research courses being offered by my faculty. First, I will start with postgraduate taught. Postgraduate taught are typically 1-year master courses, Master of Science courses, leading to the Master of Science qualification. Now, these are organized through the 6 schools in the faculty around engineering and physical sciences. On this slide, I have the list of 5 schools and the programs run by each schools. There's a further school on the next slide. So you can see School of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering, School of Electronics, Electrical Engineering and Computer Science, School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, School of Math and Physics, and School of Psychology. There's a 6th School of Nature and Built Environment just coming up in the next slide. And below each school, you see the postgraduate taught courses, master courses run by that school. Now, the first thing that you probably notice is that the title of the master courses run by each school, they don't necessarily match the actual title of the school. And there's a special reason for that. We design master courses specifically target popular areas, demanding areas in the job market. So all of these master courses, they focus in the areas that has a big demand in jobs. Like the first one, MSc Pharmaceutical Analysis. Now, it is part of the chemistry, it's part of the job of a chemistry. However, it's very popular, it's very demanding. There's not big demand of jobs around the world for the big demand of the people, graduates with the skills in pharmaceutical analysis. And that's why we run it. After some course titles, you probably see the word, you can see the word conversion in bracket, okay? And that means these are conversion courses. Conversion courses means that you don't need to have an undergraduate degree in that subject area. You are going to be converted to that new subject area. In fact, you must not have an undergraduate degree in that subject area to do that conversion course. What that means is that you can change your expertise after you're different from your undergraduate study. For example, to move to a different area that is of interest to you, or to move to a different area that has a big job market. For example, software development, we have more than 100 students in that program every year who can achieve the level of a software engineer expertise after just 1 year of master study, compared to 3 years undergraduate study, they can reach the same skills. And these over 100 students, graduates every year we have, they're highly sought after by industry. They all find good jobs. They all become software designer. So that's a good route of moving to a different profession to move you to a more demanding job market. Okay. Now I moved to the final school, School of Natural Beauty Environment. This school has 6 different programs, as you can see in the list here. Again, we have conversion course, we have masters in architecture, construction project management, and so on. Again, these master courses, they are degrees that is highly sought after by industry in different industrial fields. Okay, now if you want to find more information about any of these courses on this slide and also the previous one, there is a website that lists all these different programs to give you more information, further information about all these programs. Okay. Also, there's a very good YouTube channel, Ask EPS, in the YouTube that has a video description of all these programs telling you what these programs are about. So the further information in this in that website, also in the YouTube channel, tells you information like shown on this slide, like what the program is about, what are you going to do in that 1 year study, and what's the job market after it, what can you do, what job can you go into after graduating. So please have a look at the website and also the YouTube channel to get more information. So that's about postgraduate toward 1 year master course typically. Although we all of these master courses, we have part-time offering that you can spread your study over 2 to 3 years, but full-time 1 year. Now another type of postgraduate study in the faculty is postgraduate research. Postgraduate research study usually leads to a degree of PhD. Okay, Doctor of Philosophy. Again, the postgraduate research courses within the faculty are organized through the 6 schools. I only have the abbreviated title of the 6 schools here. Now, what this slide does is shows you the focus, strong research areas of each of the 6 schools. Okay. By doing research, postgraduate research in these schools along these focus strong areas, you're going to be qualified with a degree of Doctor of Philosophy. You're going to have the skills to advance the science through research by advancing the industry, advancing the technology, also advancing the technology to protect the environment. Lots of these research programs has sustainability embedded in them. That is a necessary skill in the society nowadays. Again, at the bottom of the slide, I have the web address for further information on also the YouTube channel. I hope you will have a look at these websites and YouTube channels for further information. I hope you have enjoyed this slide. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation. I hope you have enjoyed this small, short presentation, and I hope I'll be able to see you at Queen's next year when you join us. Bye.
Great to hear from Professor Wei Sha there, and I think some of the key points that he is drawing out are relevant to all faculties, but it is very much in the Faculty of Engineering and Physical Sciences a focus on employability. And certainly the faculty has undertaken very significant work in the last few years in order to revise, renew, refresh its entire postgraduate taught portfolio in order to ensure that it is absolutely aligned with industry needs. And in many of the courses that Wei has mentioned, we have industry partners who have co-created those programs, who have said this is what is needed, this is the skills gap to which we need you to respond. And I think important also to mention that those conversion courses now, Aoife Cuddihy, one of our students that you met at the beginning, is doing a conversion course. So you'll hear a little bit more from her about that. But the conversion courses are such an exciting opportunity. Way has previously told me that even I, a French scholar, could potentially do the MSc software development if I passed the aptitude test. So the field is wide open there, and those are really interesting possibilities, that software development, psychological sciences, and planning and development. Just to mention also in terms of employability that a number of the programs that Way has mentioned also have 2-year options where the second year is a placement opportunity. One example is you may have seen in the School of Natural and Built Environment, there's the MSc in Construction and Project Management. That is available as a 1-year program, which might be very appropriate for you if perhaps you're already working in that field and want to upskill in that area. Or if you're someone who's at the start of their career, the 2-year option may be of interest because you will get that really hands-on experience before you actually go out into the workplace. Employability is such an important part of what we do. And just to say that this is something that employers are calling out with us, there are many jobs where that specific skill set is required at master's or PhD level. And those are the sorts of aspects that will make an impact on earning power over a lifetime. But an awful lot of employers are simply calling out the skills, the critical skills, the analytical skills that come, yes, from an undergraduate degree, but come at a much higher level at postgraduate, master's and research level because of the level of independence and critical thinking that's required. So that's just a little bit about engineering and physical sciences and some of the key points that I think emerged from Professor Shah's presentation. I think we'll move on now to the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences and to my colleague, Professor Karen Morrison.
Hello everyone, my name is Karen Morrison and I'm the Dean of Education here in the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences at Queen's University Belfast. I'm delighted for this chance to introduce the faculty to you and tell you something about the range of postgraduate taught programmes that we offer. The faculty is made up of 4 schools: the School of Medicine, Dentistry and Biomedical Sciences, the School of Biological Sciences, the School of Pharmacy and that of Nursing and Midwifery. Each school encompasses research and education, and together they cover the whole range of life sciences. Together we graduate hundreds of professionals to the healthcare workforce each year, alongside graduates in a whole range of life science specialties. Our faculty also encompasses several specific research centres, shown on this slide: the Institute for Global Food Security, the Centre for Cancer Research and Cell Biology, the Centre for Experimental Medicine, the Centre for Public Health, and then the Match Centre with its research on material and advanced technologies for healthcare. Through these centres we undertake world-leading, impactful research which addresses some of the world's greatest challenges in medicine, healthcare, food and the environment. All of our teaching and research programmes are ranked in the top 200 in the world, with some areas in the top 100 or even in the top 50. And speaking of the world, in addition to our students coming from all around the globe, our faculty also includes a huge range of international partnerships with industry, research institutes and universities from across the world. Some of them are shown here. So what would you experience if you come here? Well, the courses within our faculty are hugely varied in their scope and range, but they are common in areas of excellence. All of them have been developed and are taught by academics who are experts in their field. We've a range of fantastic new laboratories in which you can hone your practical laboratory skills. Industrial placements and fieldwork are popular features of many of the courses, and the specialist clinical courses, of course, involve extensive placements in real clinical practice. So on to some of the specifics of what the various schools offer. This slide lists some of the programmes in biological sciences, with courses ranging from studies in advanced food safety, and animal behaviour and welfare, through to ecological management and conservation biology, and then our most recent, listed at the bottom there, parasitology and pathogen biology. And just to focus on one of these programmes for the moment, the MSc in Leadership for Sustainable Rural Development. This is one of our really popular courses which attracts people from a huge range of countries, and it offers an action-packed experiential learning through lectures and seminars, work placements and group projects. A key feature of this course is the strong link with industry and the emphasis on placement-based learning, with many different places, giving you opportunities to really understand how sustainability differs depending on the specific setting. Moving on to the School of Medicine, Dentistry and Biomedical Sciences, this school again offers a huge range of potential courses, from public and global health through to bioinformatics and computational genomics and clinical anatomy, which offers extensive cadaveric dissection, and then a whole range of courses that are very focused on basic laboratory research, such as our MRes in cancer medicine, studies in oncology drug discovery, or our MSc in experimental medicine. And in this latter course, experimental medicine, there's again a huge range of projects offered, ranging from studies in clinical areas such as respiratory disease or virology and other infectious diseases, through to cancer medicine, diseases of the eye and neurological disease. And just to emphasize again, if you take any of these programs here, you'll be working in excellently equipped laboratories in teams with world-leading researchers, getting that training that really will help you to move on in your subsequent careers, be that working in a specialist laboratory straight after your MSc, to perhaps going on to further study for a PhD, or working for a biotechnology company. Just to speak further about some of the range of programs that you can study in the School of Medicine, Dentistry and Biomedical Science, just to mention the MPH Global Health Pathway, which offers you the chance to do an MSc focusing on issues that really have a key impact on public health policy and practice. The staff who teach in our Global Health course have worked in NGOs and charities across the world, and so are really well placed to provide practical insights into policy and practice as applied to various settings. In these final few slides, I'll then just mention some of the courses that we offer in our two remaining schools, Nursing and Midwifery and the School of Pharmacy. Within Nursing and Midwifery, we offer many specialist programs at PGT level, including a particularly popular MSc in caring for children and young people with complex health needs, and I'd encourage you to look online to get further detailed information. And finally, just to mention the School of Pharmacy, which has one of our most recently developed MSc programs, our new MSc in Industrial Pharmaceutics. This program has been developed specifically so that we can deliver graduates to work in the key area of the development, validation and manufacture of new medicines. Pharmaceuticals is a truly global industry, estimated now to be worth over more than $1.2 trillion. It's an area hungry for graduates with key skills, and we aim to deliver that with our new program here. So this is my final slide, and in finishing, I really encourage you to have a look at our website, and particularly the link that I've given here, www.qub.ac.uk/study/MHLS/webinars, which gives details of all the series of webinars that will be coming up over the next few weeks, which will give you further detail into the various programs that I've mentioned here. Thank you so much for watching this short presentation, which can only give a flavour of some of the programmes that we deliver in the faculty here. I hope to welcome you to Queen's in the future, sometime should you choose to come and study here, and I give you all my very best wishes for an exciting journey in your postgraduate career. Thank you.
Our thanks to Professor Karen Morrison for her insights also into the approach that is taken in the Faculty of Medicine, Health and Life Sciences, that alignment with industry needs, alignment with the priorities of governments, local governments and national and international governments and NGOs, especially in terms of preparing graduates for a whole range of career opportunities. I think the point that Karen makes also, that this is about local networking, but not just local, but also global networking, is really key. That, and also the preparation for real world challenges and contexts. That's something that is front and centre in the work of all of our faculties. And we're going to hear a little bit more about how that comes into play in the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences now, as we hear from our Dean of Graduate Studies, Professor Jeanette Elwood.
Welcome, and my name is Professor Jeanette Elwood, and I am Dean of Graduate Studies in the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. And I'd just like to share with you some of the details about some of the fantastic master's programs we have in this faculty, and hopefully that might whet your appetite and you will come and join us to study at some stage. The Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences, as you would expect, spans all the traditional humanities and social sciences, as well as innovative and cutting-edge areas in creative arts and applied professional studies. We operate in a world-class environment with 5 schools, and we have 2 research institutes. There are 64 master's programs with a broad range of PhD opportunities, and we also, when timing allows, have 4 international summer schools. Across the schools, there are 5 of them, and you can see them listed there. In AEL, the flagship courses would be Arts Management, Broadcasting and Media Production, as well as Creative Writing. English Language and Literature is in the top 100 of the World QS World Rankings, and we have world-leading facilities such as the Queen's Film Theatre, Black Box Film Studio, Sonic Arts Research Centre, and the Seamus Heaney Centre. We have links with the Arts Council, film studios, the BBC, and music and industry. In the School of History, Anthropology, Philosophy and Politics, we have flagship programs in anthropology, conflict transformation and social justice, global borders and security, history and public history, and international relations, as well as violence, tourism and security. History, politics and international studies at Queen's are currently ranked in the top 200 in the World QS World Rankings, and we're in a globally significant location in which to study these subjects in a post-conflict society. And we have one of the largest politics departments across the UK and Ireland. And given all the research and the study activity that happens in this school, there are very good links with local government, NGOs, peace and reconciliation groups, the Office for National Records in Northern Ireland, and museums. In law, the flagship courses at postgraduate would be criminology and criminal justice, human rights law, international business law, including a placement, and law and technology. Law is a world-class top 150 law school. It is situated in a beautiful £20 million new law building, which opened in 2016. There's access to High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Northern Ireland Assembly, and access to multinational law firms as well. In the School of Social Sciences, Education and Social Work, we would have flagship programs in educational studies, educational leadership, and the teaching of English for speakers of other language, or TESOL. We have excellent relationship with local stakeholders. So if you're interested in criminology, we have excellent relationships with police and prisons. In sociology, social work and education, we have vibrant links with schools, education boards, and social work trusts. Sociology is in the top 200 for sociology in the Shanghai rankings, and we are 5th in the UK for social work. And education was ranked 4th in the most recent REF assessment for research. In the School of Management, there are a large number of flagship courses in accounting and finance, quantitative finance, risk and investment management, business analytics, human resource management, international business, management and marketing. There is an excellent and world-class trading room, one of only 10 UK universities to have a trading room. There's industry engagement, where students benefit from a dedicated placement office and master classes from industry experts. World-leading facilities, a postgraduate and executive education centre, and accounting and finance were ranked the top 10 in the UK Times 2019 rankings. Yes, we have some fantastic postgraduate opportunities in the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. You can decide yourself to choose an exciting direction, either continuing to specialise and enhance your expertise in the area in which you did your undergraduate degree, or you might want to discover new opportunities and develop transferable skills. And this means that we have some conversion courses. So whether you have studied that area for undergraduate studies may not always be necessary, and you can actually do a master's course and convert to new skills and new expertise. I'd also like to mention 2 new innovative postgraduate programs that are going to start in the autumn of 2020. We have the Law and Technology, LLM. This is an innovative and employment-focused program which draws on the School of Law's research and teaching strengths in technology, e-governance and innovation, and in terms of law's role in regulating technology and technology's role in transforming governance and legal practice. The programme is delivered through a series of top modules and culminates in the submission of a dissertation of original topic in this area. We also have the MSc in International Public Policy, and this is in the School of History, Anthropology, Politics and Philosophy. And this will provide students with the tools to understand and influence the contemporary policy problems faced by governments globally. The Masters includes a study visit to EU institutions in Brussels and the OECD in Paris. And students will be assessed through a range of examination methods and a dissertation. We also have outstanding research opportunities and a research culture here at Queen's, where you can pursue your passion in more detail under a wide range of subjects and disciplines. 75% of our research is world-class or internationally leading, and some current PhD projects actually include young people's education and how talented young people fare in the primary classroom, modernising UK and US stock market policies and regulations, training programmes for medical interpreters in Jordan, and gender equality in the UK and Germany. So we do hope that you will look at our website. We do hope that you will have a look at all the programmes that we have to offer, and I'm sure there is one there that suits you. And I look forward to welcoming you to Queen's in the very near future. Thank you.
Very many thanks to Professor Jeanette Elwood for those insights into the Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. I think you can probably see common threads emerging across all three of our faculties, and that is that focus on alignment with social needs, alignment with industry needs, the partnership working across sectors, and some very, very rich and exciting opportunities in arts, humanities and social sciences through the creative and cultural sectors, through the education sector, and of course the direct working with policy. I think what also underpins everything that our faculty deans have said is that emphasis on research excellence, that it is world-leading researchers who are teaching our postgraduates in their master's programs and who are supervising them as they themselves move into the kind of a journey to produce original research in the field. So very, very exciting proposition across all three faculties. Very shortly, we're going to move on to talking to the students because in a way, they're the ones you really want to hear from. We can give you lots of messages, but it's the students who will speak the truth about their own experiences at Queen's. Before we turn to some of the students, I just wanted to pick up on something that all three faculty deans have also mentioned, and that is that they've been directing you towards faculty websites and YouTube channels where further webinars and further information is available for you. We are going to be launching, I think, tomorrow or the next few days, certainly, that will be coming. We'll have a university-wide landing page for postgraduate opportunities that will give you access to all of the subject-specific webinars that are going to be running across the institution in the coming weeks and months, as well as more general university-wide webinars on things like accommodation, on things like preparing yourself for success in your postgraduate study. And those will all be live, I think, very soon. So today is your introduction, but hopefully over the coming weeks and months, you'll be joining us much more frequently to hear a little bit more about Queen's and get a taste of what our community is at postgraduate level. Both Jeanette and Karen also picked up in their presentations on the facilities that we have, and a huge amount has been invested in facilities, not least our lovely graduate school, which was opened just 5 years ago to give our postgraduates their own space, which was specifically to allow them to develop their own career trajectories, skills, professional development. Jeanette has mentioned the facilities in AHSS, the moot court, the trading room, both way, and Karen have also talked about the facilities in different parts of their faculties. That's a key part, and it's also something that our students speak very favourably about. So I wanted to maybe just to bring in Sean Dempsey at this point. Now, Sean is a PhD student working in chemistry in the School of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering. But Sean also talks a lot about what attracted him to Belfast, and what has made his experience very positive here has been not just the intellectual context and the staff, but crucially also the facilities in his lab, but also the facilities across the entire institution. So we're going to hear now from Sean.
Hi, my name is Sean. I'm currently doing a PhD in chemistry at Queen's. So I'm based in the School of Chemistry and Chemical Engineering. So my journey to get here would have started with my undergraduate degree in science, and I did that at University College Dublin. After I did that, I went on to do a master's in chemistry research at NUI Galway. So during my master's, I seen an advertisement for an open PhD position in Queen's. I was instantly interested. Queen's is renowned for its research and its research facilities, especially in chemistry. So I applied for it. I didn't think I'd hear anything back, but a few weeks later, I heard that I got accepted, so I was absolutely delighted. So I started here in October 2019, so last October. So I've been here 6 months now. And yeah, there's a few things that have stuck out for me. The facilities here are excellent. So the lab facilities are second to none. They have great facilities around campus as well. So they have a great library, they have a fantastic gym, swimming pool, and also the postgraduate school is absolutely fantastic. They offer different courses. So at the minute I'm doing a management course. So it gives you a chance to build on transferable skills that you wouldn't get to do during your time in research. So that's a really great opportunity. So in terms of challenges then, obviously moving into a new city, there was some challenges involved in that. But everyone here is so friendly, all the staff, all the lecturers, all the students. So it didn't take long to settle in at all. So for anyone that is considering undertaking a postgraduate course at Queen's, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. Once you do start, I would say make use of the facilities, definitely enroll in the different courses that the postgraduate school have running. Yeah, I hope it helps, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Sean. And Sean has picked up on the broader whole person approach that we have. The graduate school, of course, is one part of that, where students are able to develop their transferable skills, have the support for careers advice. That is embedded in everything we do. But as some of our faculty deans have also mentioned, that idea of support for careers and for employability has absolutely driven the creation of a certain number of our postgraduate master's courses. And I've previously mentioned some of our conversion courses where you can come from quite a different background. So I wanted actually to turn now to Aoife Cudahy, who is actually undertaking one of those conversion courses at the moment, and just to allow her to give a little bit of sense of what it has been in terms of her own journey moving into that conversion course, but also someone who's coming to Belfast as a relatively new city for her and her experiences there. So over to Aoife.
Hi, my name is Aoife Cudahy and I'm currently completing my Masters in Psychological Science at Queen's University Belfast. The course is an accredited British Psychological Society conversion course, which will confer me with eligibility for the graduate basis for chartered membership of the BPS. This will then allow me to go on to further training as a professional psychologist or to take up other careers where psychology is also relevant. So prior to starting the course, I studied physics at Maynooth University, and later I went on to complete my PGCE, also at Queen's University. For the last 7 years, I've been working as a physics teacher. And it was my involvement with my school's pastoral care team that really sparked my interest in studying psychology in greater depth. So there's a number of reasons why I chose to study at Queen's. Firstly, for me, it's very handy as I happen to already live in Belfast and I've become really settled here. The city is really great and there's so much to offer in terms of culture and other activities. It's not too big and impersonal, and the people are really extremely welcoming and friendly, and the atmosphere is very, very relaxed. The same is also true for Queen's itself, and this was something I had already positive experiences of from completing my PGCE here, so I already kind of knew what I was getting involved in by taking on another course at Queen's. I also love the idea of being able to walk to university every day and not have to worry about whether I'd feel safe doing so, and also not having to do a long commute anymore. I suppose more importantly then, from an academic point of view, I was very attracted by the fact that the course was at master's level and was also BPS accredited, that it could also be completed within 1 year on a full-time basis. So similar courses I researched elsewhere, some of them were only at higher diploma level, they required 2 years full-time study, and they also seemed to be more expensive. So Queen's really attracted me for lots and lots of reasons. I also had very positive experiences from the level of support and help I received from the course personnel when I was initially making my inquiries about whether or not I would apply for the course. So far I've really enjoyed my year. The course material is immensely interesting and the lecturers are really, really engaging and passionate about what they teach. I've also enjoyed learning new research methods and expanding my analysis skills by gaining lots of practical experience along the way. So as well as completing a thesis and a group work project, there's lots of opportunities to get involved in other research projects that are happening throughout the school, and you're encouraged to present your work at conferences. There are also plenty of enrichment activities that the school organise, such as weekly seminars and career events. I've also really enjoyed the camaraderie and getting to know my fellow students. There's such a wide range of people from all walks of life in this course, and the friendships that have developed have been a real source of support and encouragement throughout the year. Everyone has different backgrounds and strengths, and we all help each other out. The most challenging thing has been the intensity of the course. It's very demanding of your time, with lots of readings and lots of assignments. So my main piece of advice would be not to underestimate how much time you need in order to keep on top of the workload. You'll find that you've got an assignment due almost every week, but if you plan your time well, you'll be able to manage it. Also, one last thing, don't forget that the staff and the lecturers and also your classmates, they're there to support you and they really care about your academic success and your personal well-being.
Thank you, Aoife. And just to pick up on some of Aoife's points about the city itself, Belfast has been identified as the friendliest city in the UK, and Belfast also is one of the where students are most happy in the UK. So it's not without its challenges, as both of our students have said, but what you have got is a very friendly and supportive city, and also a fairly small and compact city, which allows you to be very much part of the civic life as well as the university life. I'm going to pass on now to our final video presentation of today, which is Rianne. And Rianne will also talk a little bit about the city, but also crucially about what it is to be a PhD student and the sort of opportunities that has opened up for her across a range of, all of the years of her study here. So we'll move on to our last video with Rianne.
Hey everyone, my name's Rianne. And I'm a current PhD student at Queen's University Belfast. Obviously from my accent, I'm from South Wales, not Belfast. But just a little bit about me. So I studied history at Plymouth University for my undergraduate, mainly focusing on American and Irish history. And then I decided that I wanted to do a master's, which is when I came to Queen's University. So I chose to do a master's in modern British history, which was a year, and then I stayed on to do my PhD, which is also in modern British history, because I got funding, so I stayed at Queen's. So just a little bit about why I chose to study at Queen's. So for the masters, it was definitely my type of history. It was more modern history. A couple of the other courses and masters I'd looked at other universities had a couple of modules that were more focused in like medieval, early modern, whereas with Queen's, because there's so many different lecturers and so many different types of history, there was different strands. So we've got different lecturers that do modern history, British history, American history, Irish history, medieval, early modern. So it meant that I could kind of tailor my masters to the stuff I was interested in. So that was one of the main reasons I chose it. Also the city, I went to visit Queen's for a weekend and just fell in love with the place, even though it did rain all weekend. Ended up staying in a couple of the pubs, but it was a very nice atmosphere. Had a little tour of Queen's, everybody seemed really nice. The city was amazing. Loved like looking around Belfast. There's so much creativity and culture, and I just felt straight at home when I visited, really. So that was one of the other main reasons, and also because Belfast is a cheaper city than most, because I self-funded my masters. I was thinking about money as well, so it kind of was somewhere new, somewhere exciting, and also somewhere like reasonably priced, which was always good. And the other reason was the lecturers. So like I said, I do modern British history, looking at in particular oral history and heritage. So there's like public history lecturers at Queen's, oral history lecturers. So the lecturers' work just really really spoke to what I was interested in. So that really helped as well. Thinking about highlights of going to Queen's University, I'd probably say that I love living in Belfast. I've been there 3 years now, and I absolutely love it. It's such a nice city. There's always stuff going on. It's not too big, it's not too small. For me, it's ideal. And all the people are really nice, and I just really like living in Belfast. And obviously my friends and family come to visit quite a lot as well, so that's really nice. Another highlight I would say is part of my PhD, I do a 6 months placement with the City Council, because my PhD is looking at heritage and regeneration. I'm actually interviewing people from East Belfast, from the different communities. So I found that really interesting as well, like getting to actually work with working class communities and hear their opinions and put them into my academic work as well as my public history. So I think that's been really interesting as well. That's definitely been one of the highlights for me. Some of the challenges, I think, is that PhDs can be quite isolating in the sense that you don't go to classes, do your own research. But at Queen's, they've got offices for us to work in. So in first year, there was a good couple of us in the hub. So then started meeting new people and gaining friends through that. And then second and third year, moved office again then. So the office space is really good in terms of getting to meet people. You know, the people I share my office with now, some of them are in the year below me, some of them in the year above me. So I found that really helpful as well, to learn from their experiences and to kind of pass that knowledge down. And also with Queen's and in particular history, we have a weekly seminar on a Friday afternoon, so that kind of gets everybody together as well, and then we tend to go to the pub after. So again, like doing more contact-based things, like chatting and getting to know each other, having more communication, so it's not isolating, because you know you've got between your office being shared with somebody, and then on the Friday afternoon, you know you're going to go and see a seminar, which is normally given by an academic from another university, or from us PhD students ourselves. We also give papers, so it's just really nice to have that as well. So it's got a really community feel. I know that anthropology also have their own seminars. I've gone to a couple of them, politics, so all of these different subjects have them, and I think they are a really good way to kind of get to know people, also to have a little break. And sometimes you'll go to these seminars and you won't really be thinking about your work, but something of theirs will feed into yours. So it's just really a good way of networking as well, which you will hear a lot when you're doing a PhD. Network is what people say. So it's always good to meet new people and kind of find out what they're doing and what their interests are. And then finally, if I was going to give any advice for people thinking of doing either a postgrad taught, so like I done my master's, or for a PhD, I would just kind of say go for it. My master's, I applied to Queen's and I got accepted, and I absolutely loved it. Just learned so much, just loved the whole experience. I knew I wanted to do a master's when I finished my undergraduate, so it just seemed good for me. And then I wanted to be an academic or university lecturer, but I didn't actually think I would be able to get to that level. So when I finished my master's, I found out about the current project that I'm doing now for my PhD, and I wasn't sure whether to apply for it or not, because I didn't know if I was like up to it. And then I spoke to one of my now supervisors, and she said, yeah, I'm going to put you forward for it, it'd be excellent for you to give it a go. And I went for it, and then I found out I got it. So I think the main thing is just to go for it and just apply, you know, like if you don't apply, you're not going to know. And, you know, it's the best thing I ever did. And I think sometimes we feel like we're not up to it, or we're a bit less confident. But I think maybe speaking to somebody who's seen your work before and stuff like that can help give you that confidence boost. But the main thing is just to go for it, really. I mean, I would never have thought when I was doing A-level history that I would have done undergraduate, masters and PhD. But here we are, you know. So if you really want to do it and you're passionate about it, then definitely go for it. A PhD is 3 years, so it is long. So I would definitely say you've got to be passionate about the topic. But aside from that, I can't really think of any other advice at the moment. So I will see you soon.
Thank you very much to Rhiannon, and I think her presentation brings us very nicely back to the point we were making at the start, which is if you don't think this is for you, think again, you know, and just go for it. So if you're thinking about who me, then yeah, the answer is yes, you. All of our students have demonstrated the tremendous sort of passion and commitment that they have that they bring to their studies. I wanted to pick up on one final area just before we move to the Q&A, which, I mean, Rhiannon mentioned self-funding her master's and then moving forward and applying for a scholarship for her PhD. Clearly, this is a big investment in time, and potentially also a big investment in financial terms. So you will, of course, want some advice on what the opportunities are there. We've got a slide which we can show to you now, which gives you some of that detail. And I think the backdrop, though, is worth mentioning again, is that Belfast is, as Rhiannon was saying, also one of the in the UK. So in terms of student accommodation, in terms of general living expenses, the investment that you make is certainly mitigated by the cost of living in this particular city. So just to give you a couple of slides on where you can go to find out information about more scholarships and funding opportunities. For postgraduate taught, the main opportunity available is a loan situation, and that was created a couple of years ago and follows in some ways a similar method to the loan situation you may have been aware of as an undergraduate. This is available to help cover your tuition fee or to cover your tuition fee. It's for students from Northern Ireland and from the EU. It's a value of up to £5,500, so it'll cover your fees, and whether that's for a master's degree, a postgraduate certificate, or a postgraduate diploma. It's not means tested, so in that sense, it is different from some of the previous sort of support that's been available, and it has to go for the fee, and it comes directly to your higher education provider. So that is really a very considerable contribution to the financial investment that is a master's programme, and again offset by the fact that Belfast as a city is significantly less expensive than other parts of the UK. When it comes to PhD opportunities, there are a whole plethora of activities here, or opportunities and funding possibilities that you can apply to. So I won't go into them in all detail, but just to say that there are industry-funded scholarships, there are charity-funded scholarships. We also have very significant doctoral training programs, which are in partnership with other universities in the UK, and which cover a whole range of subject areas in all three faculties. If you go onto the website that you see here, the link you see here, you'll be able to see what all of the opportunities are that are available. We also have our colleagues in faculties who are very happy to speak to you individually about what might be available to you in terms of your own particular interests. So have a look at this page, and the other one that you can look at is our kind of funding and scholarship finder. So that brings us to the end of that more formal part of our presentation. I would like now, we're going to move now to the Q&A session, and we probably have about 10 to 15 minutes to answer your questions. Could I invite Orla, Rianne, Aoife and Sean to come back onto screen to join us for the Q&A. And the chat box is now open. So any questions that you can have, you can bring to us in the chat box. We'll try to answer those. You'll also, though, have on the slide that's showing now, and we'll keep that slide up until the end of the webinar, you have details of all the email addresses that you can use to find out more information, whether it's more general around student recruitment, accommodation, and so on. That would be the top address, or specifically related to individual faculties, and our colleagues are there waiting to respond to you on those. So Orla, that's it, the chat is now open. We have probably 10 to 15 minutes, and Orla is going to compare those chats, those questions, and direct those to the person who's perhaps best placed to answer. Orla, over to you.
I see that the questions are coming in thick and fast. So the first one's actually for you, Aoife. So the question's in from Laura, and she was just wondering, you'd mentioned about doing the PGCE. So she was just wondering, how have you found the Masters and the workload in comparison to the PGCE, and how have you adapted to this?
Can you hear me okay, first of all?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, quite different. I guess the PGC was very much, because it's a professional course, like most of the time you're actually out on placements, so the types of assessments and the kind of demands of the course are very different. So you get like your block of training in university at the start, and then you're out for, I can't even remember, was it 6 weeks or 8 weeks placement, and then you're back in for a short stint of maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and then you're out on another placement. And all the work was like continuous assessments and project work and assignments. And then when we were out on placements, you're constantly doing your your teaching plans, and there was no like formal exam at the end or anything like that. Whereas with the Masters, I guess you're back to a more normal academic kind of environment, where you've got assignments pretty regularly, and then exams. And I have an exam on Monday. I'm in the middle of exams at the minute, which is quite different from the PGC. It's more like being back at an undergraduate level again. You know, in the sense of how you're assessed. Gosh, comparing the demands.
That's fine.
Yeah, I hope that kind of answers it somewhat.
Okay, so Laura's actually going to study that course in September, so good luck to Laura with that. The next question that has come in, potentially, Margaret, you can answer that. So it's from Jordan, and it's just in relation to the current situation we're in and how the university plans to progress in the academic year starting in September 20.
Yes, so I don't know, Jordan, if you're more interested in master's programs or PhD. I can say a little bit about both. Yes, it's a very challenging situation and constantly evolving situation. We are in close discussion with other universities across the sector, and specifically the Russell Group, but generally across the sector. Where we have now reached, the decision we have now reached is that we will be progressing to begin the semester as per the normal schedule, which is the 21st of September. You may be aware that there's been discussion about whether semesters would be delayed, whether it would be a start in January. We have now come to the decision quite recently that it is going to be a 21st of September start. Some of the logistics of that, certainly if you are interested, if you're thinking about a PGT, a master's course, a taught course, are all now being worked through. But I think what we do know at the moment is that there will be a significant emphasis on online delivery, at least in the first instance, and that's what all our colleagues in schools are now planning for. If the situation resolves itself very significantly and we can move to more on-site delivery, absolutely that's what we'll be wanting to do. But we're all, I think, very conscious that even with the lockdown lessons, we will be in a social distancing situation for quite some time. But we are going ahead. Delivery is happening. It will be at the highest possible quality using the new virtual learning environment that we have invested in called Canvas. So plan ahead. And we will ensure that you have all the support that you would have where you're here on campus. If you were thinking about a PhD, again, slightly different because you don't have the taught courses. So with the PhD, you can go ahead, register as normal. The first, really, even whatever your subject area, the first 6 to 8 months of the PhD are very much focused on literature review, on refining your research questions, all of which can be done in a desk-based way. So even if you're in a lab-based subject, ultimately, there's nothing to stop you getting on with your PhD. And in terms of the general support that the graduate school gives, we have already moved a lot of our provision online. So you can still do the academic skills, you can do the management, you can do leadership. All of that will be a wraparound to give you a sense of community and a very high quality experience as well. As the situation becomes clearer, we'll make sure that all our applicants have the details, but that's where we are at the moment. Hope that helps a little bit.
We have another question here from Neil, and he's just said that he has Asperger's syndrome and was just wondering what support is available.
Do you want me to answer that one?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes, very happy to do that. So Neil, was it? Sorry, yes, Neil. Absolutely full support available. So what will normally happen, and I have a PhD student at the moment who has Asperger's syndrome, so we very close kind of experience of making that work for students in terms of their own individual needs and their own, what allows them to progress and to fulfill their potential. So we have a disability support service, and what will happen the moment that you would arrive with us, you would have a full assessment with them. And that is actually about going through, for a student with Asperger's, it's going up through about every part of your life that can be a challenge, whether that's routines, whatever it might be, and they will come up with a series of recommendations which are then shared with your PhD supervisors if you're thinking about PhD, or with the relevant people on your master's program. And some of the adjustments, some of the things that we would do with the PhD student that I have, we have identified very different specific ways of messaging her to let her know when something is coming up. Just as a reminder, we've worked out a daily schedule for her, even in terms of getting from home into the university at the right time. So it's very, very bespoke. There is absolutely 100% support there, and we would basically work with you to understand what can make your experience a profitable one for you, and a very wide range of adjustments are put in place. So please have no concerns at all on that score. And if it's something you wanted to talk about to an individual kind of offline, privately, I'm very happy to talk to you, or for us to put you in touch with someone in our Disability Services Department.
Okay, and just a question there that I can answer. So it's from Bethany. So Bethany was just wondering, we'd mentioned there about the student loan for students from the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. And Bethany was just wondering about for British students. So there is actually a loan for British students that are wanting to study in Northern Ireland. It's up to £10,900, and Bethany, you can actually find out more about that on the gov.uk website as well as Queen's website, and the applications for that open in June of this year. One question then I've seen that have come through that would be applicable to any of the students, and it was just to really ask, how do you manage study, maybe more Aoife in relation to the Masters? How do you work with study in terms of, are you working alongside that, or when you're doing your Masters, are you studying full time?
No, I'm studying full time. I decided I wanted a complete break from work, so like I always kept the option open that if I needed to do, work, I'd look for it when I needed to. But I managed to not need it, so I'm probably not the best person to ask. Although there are a lot of people on my course who do seem to manage balancing, their academics with work. It's very, like, I mean, my course is fairly full on. It's very time consuming, so I don't understand how they do it, but some people manage to do it, and then some people opt for the part-time option as well, so that they can juggle both together. So I guess it's doable, but for me, I chose not to do it because I really wanted to enjoy it and not have that pressure on me to work as well. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So I have another question. Oh, no, Margaret, far ahead.
No, go ahead.
It's just another question that has come in that Margaret might be able to answer. So it was, do you need a master's degree to study a PhD, or can you go straight from undergrad?
So short answer is it depends on the subject area. And so, for example, my faculty is Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. Normally the prerequisite would be a master's, but in other faculties in the university, typically in engineering and certainly in medicine, health and life sciences, there are very many students who go straight from their undergraduate into their doctorate. So the way to find this out, if you go onto our the website and look at course requirements. So if you go into, I mean, I'm sure all of these links will be on the landing page that Orla and colleagues are setting up. But if you, don't know, I can't ask the question, can I? Have a look and see, and you will see the specific school that you would be interested in going to. If you click on that, you will get more information, and one of those bits of information will be course requirements. And that will tell you very explicitly whether or not you need the master's in advance. As I say, typically Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences subjects will require a master's. Typically, a lot of the others will not. But it's all on the website, and we also have, I think, our faculty recruitment colleagues who are on the chat and can also answer those questions. Maybe they can link in with you to find out what your subject area is and give you the very precise answer to your question.
Okay, and there's another question coming in from Janet, and she's just asking generally how many people would you find in a lecture or a class?
Is that, I can make a general comment, but maybe the students want to jump in first.
Yeah, if the students wouldn't mind.
Maybe I can answer that, seeing as I'm actually in classes. I don't know if the others are actually technically in classes, being PhD students. So for my course, because it's a conversion course, which would be typical for conversion courses anywhere, we are in with some of the undergraduate students for some of our lectures. So we're in with first years for one of our modules and second years for another module. So in those classes, the lectures can be quite big. I'd say well over 100. Whereas when we're in our class on our own. Our methods, statistics class, like our group is about 55-ish people, something like that. So yeah, I guess it probably just depends on the subject you're in and how many students they take on. But like I said, for the conversion course, we're in with some of the undergraduates, so it does tend to be large classes. So.
Okay.
Jan might be able to talk about the history experience, be quite different probably.
Just touching then on another question that we had, Aoife, that you had answered earlier, was about studying your master's alongside working. Was a question that has come in from Gemma, and she was just asking, so Sean and Rhiannon, how obviously with the PhD, how are you finding not being able to work, or are you taking on some part-time jobs as well, or how's that working for you? Sorry, Rhiannon, can't hear you at the moment.
Rhiannon, we need you to unmute your microphone.
Do you want me to just hop in there before? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So a lot of the time for PhDs, you get funding for PhDs. So you, like, at the moment, I'm kind of able to manage off my funding every month. So I don't need to work alongside study at the minute. For my master's, I did, because obviously I didn't have funding for my master's. So yeah, it can be hard if you are working to manage, because there's quite a high workload during a master's and PhD, so it can be hard to juggle both. But I find with the PhD, if you get funding, like, a lot of the time you'll be able to manage off the funding. So
okay, that's great. Rhiannon, do you have anything to add?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked doing my undergraduate, masters, and my PhD, just part-time, flexible hours for the university itself. And for the history PhD, we get to teach first years. So we end up TAing, which is good, and gives you experience of teaching and lecturing. And aside from that, just doing general university work I do. So for like events, chatting to postgrads, different stuff like that, campus tours. So then it's flexible work that you can work around your master's or PhD.
Could I, Orla, thanks. Orla, could I just come in to give a little bit of an insight into just what both the students have said? For the PhD, if you, as Sean mentioned, there are quite a lot of scholarships available. They are very competitive, absolutely. But for a scholarship, typically what happens is that you would have your fees paid, and then you get a stipend, a sort of a living allowance. Typically at the moment, it does vary, of course, but typically for Research Council funding, that is in the region of about £15,000 to £16,000 per annum as a stipend. So, and other funders, it can be higher. I have a European programme where it is higher, it's over 20,000. But so I think, there is a reasonable cushion there. And just to pick up on what Rhiannon said, I think part of what we want also to do in terms of the PhD experience is that for those students who are thinking about an academic career, we make sure that the work that they're doing, the paid work that they're doing, and will help develop their careers there. So that it's the opportunity to act as a teaching assistant, and for example, for a PhD student to teach some first year undergraduate work. There are some limits with scholarships as to how many extra hours you can work, because they want your main job to be your PhD. But those are the sorts of details around funding that you'll find on the PhD funding opportunities.
Okay, we have a question from Nicole here, which I can answer. So she's just said she's been watching the webinar, and she was wondering if there's going to be any tailored webinar specific to the school area. So the answer to that is yes. We have been hosting for the last few weeks a range of subject-specific webinars that the faculties have been hosting. So for anyone interested in finding out more, if you go to the postgraduate pages of our website, there's a link to postgraduate events pages, and there you can register for subject-specific webinars and also some of the student support. So the likes of employability, and the graduate school will be holding a lot of events there as well. Another question that's coming through, I know we covered it earlier, but there are still some coming through. So in case some people missed it, Margaret, if you could just go over again about the start of the year in terms of when do we see the academic year starting in light of the current situation?
Yeah. Yes, so just to go back to what I said earlier, that there is still considerable uncertainty about this. We're kind of 6 weeks into the lockdown, so it's a very kind of complex picture, and we are working across the entire sector to try to understand what is the best way for this to be handled, not just in Queen's but across the board. The most recent position that Queen's has adopted is that we have decided to go ahead with the semester starting as per our original calendar, which is the 21st of September. So there has, you may have been aware of discussion in media around courses not beginning until January or maybe something like starting in November. We have now opted for the September start. What that will look like, the detail of that is being worked through. As you can imagine, that's going to take a little bit of time. But certainly our emphasis at the moment is preparing for online delivery and online delivery of the highest possible quality, given that even if the restrictions on mobility may have been removed or lessened, we'll still have significant issues around social distancing. So we are shifting, and that's where our major focus is to get the highest quality online experience, with a view, hopefully, then to moving to face-to-face delivery as soon as that becomes possible. But I think we have to prepare for the online. That helps.
Great, thank you. And then a question for our students. So just wondering how being a postgrad student integrates with the rest of university life. So for example, if you play sport along trying to study for a postgrad, how do you find the likes of that, or you having to park your social aspect of life to one side?
Yeah, I can jump in on that one. So I play Gaelic football, and I play for a team back home. So I'm from Kildare, so I've kind of kept up that. I go home most weekends, so I play that at the weekends, and then I train during the week. So I don't play with any of the college teams, but I would definitely if you do play sport, and you want to do your studies alongside that, I'd say definitely keep up your sport. It's definitely keeps your mind away from study. At times you need that, I think, to be able to do something else other than study. So I would definitely, if you do sport, there's loads of sports teams available in the college as well. So I wouldn't say that you need to completely stop playing sports.
And you definitely need a social life. I am very happy to say that, even as the person who's pushing on the work side, you absolutely need that. And there are huge numbers of student societies which cover undergraduate and postgraduate, but there are also a large number of postgraduate student societies that have emerged as well. So the possibilities are endless. There are also groups that are for support and networking for people who are studying and have caring responsibilities, all of that. So there is a network out there, whatever your interest might be, and you really, really need that at postgraduate level as much as any other time.
So we have another question in from Rachel, and she's asking, it's about her PhD idea and when it comes to applying. So the area that she's actually looking to research falls between two areas and two schools. So how should she go about that?
Do you want me to come in that one? I think, to be honest, Rachel, interdisciplinary research is absolutely the way forward. And that's where funding is most commonly focused. So absolutely great that you're moving across disciplines. I think that is absolutely the direction of change, the direction of travel. So what we'd want to do probably is to speak to you individually to find out what those key areas are. But in terms of supervisory arrangements, it's very, very common now in the university to have a supervisory team and have co-supervisors, one in one school and one in another. And in fact, we are actively promoting that as a way forward. I mean, if we think about the global challenge and the real world impact, we can't do that from a single disciplinary perspective alone. So in very practical terms, our systems are set up to allow co-supervision across schools. What we would want to do is understand from your research project which school should be your home school, because everyone still has to have one home school. And we would just want to see for all sorts of reasons, availability of funding, precise fit, we would identify with you what would be the best school. But then, yeah, we would get a supervisory team. And it's also possible to have third supervisors from schools or even from outside the university. So the multidisciplinarity of it is absolutely to be welcomed and not a problem in the least.
Great. So this is a question for either Aoife, Ryan, or Sean to answer. So it's just in relation to living in Belfast in terms of, is accommodation difficult to find, and also in relation to the living costs per month. So how are you finding that in Belfast?
So living cost in Belfast is really cheap. For my masters, I stayed in the halls of residence because I didn't know anyone. And then for my PhD, I found accommodation not too far from the uni, about a 10-20 minute walk. So there's plenty of accommodation around the university area, in particular Stranmillis, the Omaha Road. There's some really lovely areas to live in, and it's probably the cheapest rent I've paid compared to England and stuff. So I think for my house at the moment, which is a young professional house, I'm paying £300 a month for my room. So yeah, it's really affordable.
Yeah, I definitely found the same. Like it wasn't a struggle to get accommodation at all. At the minute, I'm in private accommodation, so it's not the student accommodation. But yeah, rent is really reasonable, I find, compared to a lot of other cities. And I would say if you are like struggling for accommodation, if you're starting a master's or a PhD, sometimes it's a good idea to get in contact with your school, and they might put you in contact with other people who are in the same position. So
great. So we have a question, a few questions have come in that I can maybe answer in relation to the admissions side of things. So with the current situation, some classifications are not going to be released, and how do students go about applying for a master's? So what we would say is, although there's no official closing date for a master's, we would ask for most of the applications to come in at the start or mid of July. At the moment, you can go on and you can apply online using our direct application portal, and supporting documents not actually required when you first apply to the university through this way. Then if you're successful with your application, near the time we'll get in contact with you to provide transcripts. At the moment, our admissions team are actually looking into how this can be done in light of the current situation, and they are actually going to take and accept screenshots of any of your results to date. So don't let that put you off applying. If there's something you're interested in, apply for it as soon as possible, and then we can take it from there. I also, we're getting through a few questions from international students in relation to entry requirements and what is required. So it actually is IELTS alongside your transcripts. You would also have to provide an upload of your IELTS for that area. Again, you can go onto the course finder on the Queen's website and look at the course that you're interested in, and the entry requirements will be laid out there, including also from an international student perspective. I'm just trying to find some more questions. So this is a question then for the students. Maybe you'd like to take this one, Aoife. It's just in relation to the application process. How did you find it? Did you find it was easy enough to apply online?
So the application is through the online application portal. I found it fine. I don't really know what to say.
If you find it easy, that's great.
I mean, I suppose it's just being careful that you go through each section carefully, and if you've got transcripts to upload, you have an undergraduate transcript part to upload, and then if you've any other postgraduate courses done before, you have to make sure you upload those transcripts. And I guess just go through it methodically and make sure, like, it does kind of guide you and give you a little green light when you've got each section completed. But I suppose just give yourself plenty of time so you can double check over it and make sure everything is completed. But personally, I think it's better than doing it on paper. But I found it okay. So.
That's great. And then we have a question, Rianne, this one might be suitable for you. So it's a question that's come in from John, who's just wondering in terms of if he's studying a master's, for example, at Queen's, can he also work in terms of at Queen's? So for example, can he get a job at Queen's? So I know, Rianne, this is an experience and something you've experienced of.
So I got I think I started my work at Queen's in the September, October that I joined. There's loads of different routes you can go down. So you can work in like the SU shop, the SU bar, the Norton Gallery, the library, student disability services, for the graduate school, or like I do different stuff with like campus tours. I do work with like people from Britain, different stuff around that. So there's plenty of different opportunities. And what I would say is I preferred working with Queen's because they're more flexible, because they understand that your priority is studying. So you can kind of, to a certain degree, pick and choose. If you've got a deadline, for example, you can explain that, and you can work around it. So I think working for Queen's is probably the best option to look at for a master's or PhD, if you can. Okay.
And then we have another question that's come through, just in relation to the conversion courses. Just asking about how people find jumping into a conversion course, and that also might be able to be answered on the chat box. So we do, just to remind you, we have some of our Queen's staff from the faculties that are actually on the chat box that are responding to questions that are coming through as well. Another question there, just in relation to funding again. So about students from the Republic of Ireland and how they can get funding. So just to reiterate that the postgraduate tuition fee loan is applicable for students from the Republic of Ireland as well. So that actually works out as in euro, it's €6,270. And you can apply for that on the SUSI website. And again, more information on all funding is available on the funding and scholarship section of Queen's website as well. Just to make everyone aware, that's us coming up to 5 to 5 now. So we'll leave the questions open for another 5 minutes. So obviously we won't get a chance to answer all of the questions today. But if you look on the slide that you'll see on your screen, there's some email addresses. So if there's anything subject specific, the best thing would be to speak to the faculty. So you can see it's ASK and then the abbreviation of the faculty. So for example, ASK AHSS, ASK EPS and ASK MHLS. And if it's a more general query, or if it's anything to do with admissions, for example, you can contact student recruitment at qub.ac.uk and we can signpost you in the right direction then as well. So before we come to a close today, can I just ask if there's any last anything that you would like to add in terms of any advice for anyone thinking about studying a master's in September? So Rhiannon, we'll start with you maybe.
Okay, I would just say if you're still a little bit unsure, get in contact with the student recruitment team or the faculty that you're looking at, and actually get to speak to some of the lecturers and stuff to get an idea, and they'll kind of guide you. But there's loads of stuff Queen's are constantly publishing online, so have a little look out for there as well, and just go for it, really.
Great, thank you. Aoife, do you want to come in next? Any closing comments to make?
Yeah, it can seem a bit scary, you know, especially I noticed some people were talking about, you know, making a career change, and especially going from having money to maybe not having money or less money can seem a bit daunting. But I think once you make the jump, and if it's something that you're really interested and passionate in, you don't look back, you know. It's, you know, I'm really glad I took the year out, and yes, I don't have as much money, but you know, what I'll go on to next will make up for that. It's only a year or 2 years if you're doing it part-time. So yeah, just don't be afraid. Just give it a go. What's the worst that can happen? You get a qualification and you go back and do something that you were already doing. So yeah, enjoy it, do it.
Thank you. And finally, Sean, what's your words of advice?
Yeah, I definitely reiterate what the others said. If you're thinking about applying, just go for it. I'd say if you are successful and you do get a place, I'd say definitely use the facilities in the college, like the graduate school, have great courses. A lot of the times they're for free as well. So definitely inquire about doing the extra courses in the graduate school, because they give you a chance to do things outside of your degree. So yeah, just basically
Great.
Go for it as well.
And there's a nice question, and maybe Margaret, you'd like to answer this to finish on. It's from Maria, and it asks, what makes a postgraduate student at Queen's different from a postgraduate from other universities?
Maria, thanks for the question. Personally, I think that it is the fact that Queen's adopts this whole person approach. I've worked in a number of institutions, and there's excellent courses, there are excellent researchers, but what we have done is to create an all-round proposition that I think really is about what I started off talking about, which is experts, but experts who know how to lead, who know how to communicate, who know how to have an impact. And it's that combination of that subject excellence and really high level skills, which are genuinely, I do genuinely believe this, around kind of future readiness, which is about the possibility of being agile, innovative, creative, a flexible thinker, disruptive thinker. That's what we do. We're not just preparing you for one course or for one end goal. We're preparing you for whatever happens. And I do think that's what the standout is.
That's great, thank you. Unfortunately, I know we could go on all evening in answering questions, but we're going to have to wrap up now. So again, as I said earlier, if you have any further questions, we'll respond to the chat box, but you can also email us on the email addresses on screen. And Margaret, is there any closing comments from yourself?
Just to thank everyone for being with us this afternoon. I am heaving a huge sigh of relief because the internet didn't crash and everyone is good. We're all still here. It's been an absolute pleasure just to be talking to you. It's an unusual way to do it for me, not to be able to see the people I'm speaking to, but great questions from you. So I hope that it was engaging and informative and has maybe inspired you to think about options you hadn't considered before. Thanks to all of our students and also all the staff who have been on hand to answer questions. And we really would love to see you in September or any time in the future. So stay in touch with us. Have a look at the website tomorrow, which is telling you all about the taster events and webinars that are coming up. And you can start being part of the Queen's community right now. So thank you so much, everyone, and good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Start being part of the Queen's community right now.